I have a very special guest here today, Alexandra.
Hi, everyone.
How are you doing today?
Good. I'm glad I'm here. I thought I would do something new, and you were the perfect person to contact.
Yeah, I'm glad I was a runner-up on that.
Yeah, I definitely took advantage of it, took the opportunity.
Yeah, might as well. That's why I always tell people, I'm like, message me. Why not? I mean, I'll never say no, so I always love to meet new faces and meet new people, and it's just always fun to network around really, too.
Yeah, you meet new people.
Yes, for sure,
I just met a new friend today.
Yes. So Alexandra's a real estate. Would you say you're an agent or a broker?
A real estate agent.
Okay.
It's the same thing, basically. A broker's higher than an agent, but
okay,
same thing.
Yeah, perfect. Well, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, so my name is Alex. I'm from Greeley, Colorado. Basically grew up in Greeley, Colorado. And a little bit about myself, I guess, is I have lived in Colorado all of my life, basically. And now that I'm like getting older and becoming more of an adult and adulting more, I had to pick a career, and I decided to choose real estate, which I love doing. I just started this year, but I've been in the market for about 3 years studying it. And that's basically what I'm pursuing now. That's like the fun part in me now. So every time you see me, I'm always keeping it real estate, like literally always talking about it. You ask my friends what's new, and it's always something about real estate. So sorry if I get a little bored about annoying you guys with real estate, but yeah, basically that's my main thing right now. I literally just work. I like to have fun, go out with friends, meet new people. I'm all about meeting new people, new experiences, and just learning. I love to learn. Like I love learning new things, whether it's something out of my comfort zone or something I'm already doing. I just love learning.
I love that.
Yeah.
How long have you said you started this year, right?
Yeah.
And you said you've been in the kind of like
The market
for 3 years. Is that how long it takes to like do schooling, or you just trying to feel out if that's what you wanted to do or not?
No, so you can go to school for a year to 6 months, just depending how long you're gonna take to get the license. But for me, it took me about a year to get my license, and I say I was in the market for 3 years because I bought my first home in 2020. And ever since I had bought my first home in 2020, I was really inspired by my real estate agent because, I mean, I loved him to death, but when I was working with him, it almost felt like, I was doing the work too. Yeah. And I thought it was really cool because I'm like, what? I should be doing this. Like, finding the houses, getting the best deal that I could possibly get, negotiating, just throwing in offers. And it was fun. Like, and it really just made me open my eyes to be like, I want to do something like this because I was already working a job and I felt like a slave working there just because I didn't like it. Like, I didn't like it at all. So I had finally decided to go to school. Once I closed on my house, I stayed at my job for about a year, and then I started going to school. That took me about a year to get my license. The tests were horrible. I failed 4 times.
I heard the test is really hard,
It's 2 tests with, one has 80 questions, and I think the other one has 100.
Oh, damn.
That's
a lot,
Yeah, it's a lot. And I was so ready to give up by, like, the 4th test because I just kept failing. And they were just the most random, dumbest questions that you could ask a 5th grader, and he would probably pass because of the way they word it, but it was just so confusing the way they would put the words. So, I had finally passed, and then I got there, and then I just started doing real estate, and I already knew some people, that were interested in buying real estate and selling real estate, so I had a little bit of my feet dipped in when I got my license, but that's what really made me want to go and pursue that career was because once I closed on my house, I'm like, dude, this is so fun. Showing people houses, arguing with other real estate agents. Like, this is why my client deserves this, But
so have you ever seen the show Selling Sunset?
Yeah, I love that show.
Is it realistic-ish? I know it's really reality TV and it's very fabricated. But like the house selling part, is that kind of ish? Or is the whole show pretty fake? In your experience, I guess.
To be fair, I couldn't compare, obviously, Colorado's market or
to like $1 million houses,
Yeah, but I mean, it basically is like that. Like, you have clients and you're trying your best to like get them in a home if they want to buy or sell a home, and whether they're buying a home, like you want to be there and represent them and have their best interest, And sometimes they're not gonna have the highest, pricing of homes where they're allowed to go look at all these expensive homes. But I mean, compared to selling Sunset, it's fun like that. Like you work with other agents, and like you either make it or you break it because you are your own boss. So like you could sit there and bullshit, or you could sit there and literally get work done, go find leads, go find buyers, go find sellers, and go make some deals. But I mean, somewhat when you look at selling Sunset, they do what they're supposed to do, but they're just working with different numbers. Way bigger numbers.
Way bigger numbers. Yeah. Because I've seen it, and it's like, oh, I want to sell houses. Of course, like, it would be different, but then I'm just like, is it really, like, that fun, or is it just, like, they just make it seem like that for TV,
No, it is fun. Like, it really is fun. I think once you're in real estate for a few years, because I've met so many real estate agents, and they're so successful, so inspiring, and they're entrepreneurs that are just killing it. I mean, they're pulling in $500,000 in 1 year, and they're just doing big things. And to me, I find it crazy because it's like you would think if you're a person that makes $500,000 in 1 year, like you're gonna stop and take a break and like live your life. No, like some of these real estate agents, like they're going hard, like they don't stop. And to me, I'm like that blows my mind because I'm like, wow, like, and there's so much to learn that you think that they would stop and like just take a break, but like these agents that have been in the game for 5 years, 10 years, 3 years, they're just pushing themselves to keep learning, to keep getting numbers, and it's just so cool. Like, but it is fun. Like, it is fun. There's always events going on. Like, you always have open houses. You always have. There's the fun thing about real estate is there's always a crazy story. Like every day. Like one day it could be this, and then the next day, like you're working with a complete different client that just like their stories like that. And we're talking about people who are going through a divorce, people who are wanting to buy with their best friend or sell with, their friend because they don't want to no longer have a house. It's just really cool. You hear different stories all the time. Yeah. And I think that makes it fun.
I love that. Yeah. It's a different perspective from real estate.
You're like a therapist at the same time. Yeah. No lie. Like, I didn't, and then your emotions. If you cannot control your emotions.
Oh, I bet that's hard.
Good luck being a real estate agent because, one day you think your deal's going to fall through tomorrow, and that day comes and your deal falls through. And you don't want to sit there and cry because,
And that sucks too, because if you don't sell, you don't make money. Exactly. So it's like you're broke until you sell. Yeah. Not broke, but Yeah, that's crazy.
Basically.
Yeah, that's really hard. I feel like people don't understand that about like working for yourself. That like literally, if you don't work, you don't make money.
Exactly.
It's not like you are like if you work for somebody else, you automatically have a paycheck. You automatically have something. Yeah. You're just fucked if you don't have anything.
And then people just assume because people take different careers, like such as real estate, like it's easy money, you don't have to work, but no, you do. You actually do have to put the work.
I feel like you have to work even more.
Yeah, no, you do. And you think that your day's over by 6. Like, there's people who are getting off at 7, and they're calling you about a house that they want to see. So is your day over?
No. You kind of have to...
Yeah, you want to be there for them because you want to make sure you're there for them. Buying a house is a big deal. Like, even selling a house is a big deal. Investing into real estate is a big deal. You want to make sure you're at your best with your client. Yeah. Or else they're going to go with somebody else. Right. You don't want that.
No, you want to keep all the clients. Yeah. Well, thank you. So we're just going to dive into some questions. I pulled these out of Google because I didn't know what to ask. Because I'm like, let me try to find something. So we already pretty much answered most of them, which is great. So anyone that's watching and is really wanting to like sell or buy, I do have questions for that. So I guess we'll dive into the selling portion of it. So, how should someone prepare their house before selling it?
Well, there are sellers who take great care of their house where there's not much you have to tell besides just take great pictures and, post it on the MLS. And then you have some other, clients who obviously, sometimes there's a hardship when people are selling their house and that's why they have to sell their house. So there is a little bit of work that you have to do behind it if you do still happen to be working with somebody that's selling and their home isn't the best shape. If they can afford it, of course, you're going to want to tell them to, change whether it's bad carpet, if they can afford to change that carpet, from doors to windows to doorknobs to the paint on your wall. It all just depends their situation and like if they can afford to fix up the house. The best thing we recommend them to do, obviously, when they're setting up to sell and we're putting it on the MLS is take pictures down of you and your family, like, private pictures, because you don't want to show that to everybody that's looking at your house or wanting to come see your house to see if they possibly are interested in buying it. So that's like really one of the number one things we look out for when we do set up for a seller is to make sure they take pictures out of their family, and then we just basically set it up and organize it as nice as we can for them. Sometimes there's houses that are just completely empty, which is nicer because then you can pick out the couches and carpet and little pictures that they have available that we can put up. But yeah, the best thing to do is just depending your situation, is take the pictures down. Yeah.
What if they can't afford to like really remodel it? Well, not remodel it, but fix it up before they sell it. Yeah. Do you ever sell it as is?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. You tell them like, hey, you'll probably make less money, or
yeah, that all just plays into the offer and when we set the price, the listing price. It all just depends. We have to come in. We do a walkthrough. Of course, we signed the agency agreement with the seller. And from then on, like I say, we come in, we do the walkthrough, and then we compare the other houses that have been selling around the neighborhood. We compare those houses, how many bathrooms they have, bedrooms, and then we compare it to our house that we're listing to sell, and then we compare those rooms and the bathrooms, the square footage, and then we go from there on listing the price of, okay, well, that other house has 5 bedrooms and yours only has 3, so it's going to be a little less, obviously. Yeah. So we go on about like that way when we list the price. Yeah. And if somebody can't afford to fix the house, of course we're not gonna like force them to be like, well, you gotta come up with money and fix this. But yeah, we do of course in our best interest explain to them like, hey, like unfortunately like buyers aren't gonna like this and this isn't gonna look too good, but we're gonna do our best to help you to make it look nice, fix it. Sometimes even order somebody to come and clean the house, whether it's the carpets or,
just fix it up a little bit,
and clean it nice. That way, if there's a smell in the house, that smell isn't there when there's an open house, stuff like that. So, yeah, we get people like that all the time that can only sell their house as is. Yeah. But that's why I tell you about real estate. Everybody's situation is always different. Yeah. Always different. So, you just never know what you're walking into. Yeah.
That makes sense. Speaking of like the neighborhoods and stuff, do you try to get from? Well, you said you pay attention to like other houses of like
the neighborhoods.
Yeah. Do you try to get familiar? Like, do you ever talk to like their neighbors or anything, or do you just strictly just kind of like look at other houses like online and?
Well,
a little more not so public, I guess.
Yeah. So I mean, the cool thing about being a real estate agent, and if you know other real estate agents, like if you know a house just sold down the street, like for example in my block. The neighbor across the street just sold their house for, X amount of money. And the listing agent, they were from Denver. So I didn't personally know them, but I was able to contact them and see, okay, how many bedrooms? Of course I know how many bedrooms there were. Just because I can look that up. But to get my name out there and talk to the listing agent, they have their numbers. So I'm able to call them and be like, hey, if I have any questions, because my neighbor to the left of me also listed their house. Unfortunately, I'll give a little bit of my business out there. Yeah. We had got into a clash. I was going to list his house, but he tried blaming my gutters for flooding his window. Yeah. And he was trying to fix my gutters, and I'm like, no, you're not going to fix my gutters. And then he started going off on me, threatening me how he's going to call the permit department and come give me a ticket. Anyways, long story short, we are no longer friends as neighbors. So he didn't list the house with me, but I could call that listing agent easily and be like, hey, what makes you think the house is selling for this much? Where are you finding your properties that you're matching to compare? So yeah, you can, it's definitely recommended as agents to look around, to call around, and to ask neighbors so we get to know the neighborhood. How is it like? Is it quiet? Is there a lot of crime? We like to know that for families, because families like to know that. Sure.
Especially how sketchy Greeley is sometimes. Yeah. You're like, am I going to get murdered or not?
I feel like Greeley has gotten way better. I will give props to, Weld County. Over the years, I would say the last 8 years, they have made it nicer. Yeah. Personally, I wasn't a saint in high school. But I've learned a lot, for those who did go to school with me and do know me, they know, I mean, you could ask anybody. I used to be, fun. Like, I used to always party. I graduated early, but I, had my little trick ways, and I just think over time it's gotten way better. Like,
yeah,
families are doing better with their kids. I feel like they're keeping them busy in sports. They're making really nice with all the flowers and trees and
the renovation.
Yeah, the renovations. And I will tell you right now, people, really is getting so nice. They're building everything new. If you think the prices are going down, I think you guys have, confusion, because it's definitely not going down. When you see things that are getting built new and you see more population coming in, more schools being built, that doesn't mean the price is going down. That means there's demand for housing.
Yeah.
Because more people are moving here. California money is here now. I mean, people
for sure.
have brought
so many
money.
Californians here.
Exactly. I mean, I miss Colorado when you could drive around and like the traffic wasn't bad. But what can we say now? I mean, what are we gonna do? What can we do?
Yeah, and I think it ends up being better for us too, because we have more. Because I remember being younger and I'm like, oh, I wish we had this and that. And you would have to either drive to Denver and for Collins, and I mean, you kind of still have to for certain things, but at least it's closer. You're like, oh, well, it's down the street or this and that.
Yeah, and I like that they are building new stuff, new restaurants. I mean, I think they just opened that go-kart place on 85.
Oh, they reopened it. Yeah.
So
they renovated or whatever.
Yeah, props to those who decided to go all in and invest into a spot like that, because that's great. Like, I think that's awesome. I can't wait to see that place 5 years from now.
Right? Yeah, it's gonna blow up or even get bigger, because there's a lot of land around there too. There's not much there.
Yeah, so I think that's really cool. I find that fascinating.
Yeah, Greeley. Sometimes I'm like, I hate Greeley, but then I'm like, well, it's not as bad as people make it seem.
Yeah.
Yes, the cows ruin it, but it's fine.
Yeah, the smell definitely kills it in the morning. Yeah. Like, sometimes I own 2 dogs, and like they're well trained, but sometimes I'm like, I wake up freaking out because
You think it's them?
Yeah, I'm like, gosh, what'd they do? Yeah. But no, it's just Greeley.
Yeah, it's just Greeley. It's fine. Do you recommend people to get an inspector for selling?
Yeah, well, selling and buying, not so much on if you're a seller selling your house, I guess it is good to inspect your house.
That way, to see what's wrong with it.
Yeah, so you know what's wrong with your house. As a buyer, you should definitely inspect the house that you're looking at. The only thing I will say is, if you're a buyer, you're already approved and you're looking for houses. If you want to make sure if you go under contract, of course you want to get the inspection, but you don't want to go around paying for each house that you're looking at and paying for an inspection that you don't even know if you're going to put the offer in on the house or not. So be picky, but the houses that you're picky with, of course, get that inspection done. We need to know if that house is up to par. Yeah, because some of these houses are old. Yes. So you want to make sure there's no lead or anything or mold. Yeah, and that's a big thing too.
Well, I guess I would say with the older houses.
Right. Well, see, and as a buyer, if you're a first-time buyer, you want to be aware of that, because personally with me, I made sure I bought a house that wasn't as old, because I didn't have the money to fix it, the time to fix it, stuff like that. So when I bought a house, it took me about 5 houses to be looking at, and some of them were old. Some of them were built in 1950, some in 1970, and some of the houses are still in good shape, but a lot of the houses, sellers didn't even touch the carpet for all those years. And I'm like, okay, I have to go in and do that, and I don't want to do that. I could only imagine that they didn't touch the plumbing or whatever else it was. So I really had to pick and choose, and that's important for first-time buyers. If you don't have the money, or if you don't want nothing to break down anytime soon, make sure you're looking at a home that's not too old. That way you don't have to put a lot of money in.
Yeah. Yeah, well, because the new houses are just new. So whatever.
Yes, and if you take care of it, you don't really have to do much.
Yeah.
Just renovations if you want.
Yeah. Yeah, because some people even get houses built to their liking. Or is it not that?
Well, new builds, there are like that, but even new builds, I mean, they're not perfect.
Yeah. They kind of scare me, not gonna lie, because I'm like, you guys are building these houses super fast. Like, are you sure that's gonna?
They know what they're doing, but at the same time, think about life in general. There's mistakes everywhere.
Yeah.
And in a new build, if you're building a new build, that's even scary too, because you want it to be perfect.
Yeah.
So I mean, you just make sure you're working with the best real estate agent for you. Make sure you're working with good investors, good builders, a great inspector, and hopefully that appraisal's coming in where we want it at.
Yeah. Speaking of that, what is your turnaround rate for like selling houses? Like, how is the market right now that someone can like put their house? How easy? I guess.
Houses.
I'm like, I don't know how to put it, but yeah.
Like, how long are the houses staying on the market? Basically, like sitting on the market.
Like, how fast could someone be like, oh, I want to sell my house like pretty fast? Like, how fast is it going to sell from them to like move on with it?
So, like I said, that's another thing about how fun real estate can be is. As of today, the last couple of years, we all know the market has been crazy. You know, people were on the sidelines waiting to just throw their offers. It slowed down a little bit in 2023. It's not so much of a seller's market or buyer's market. It's kind of hard to tell because sellers want to sell, and buyers are not just budging for anything anymore like they were in 21 and 22, where they were just, okay, I'll buy it for overpriced. I'll give you $10,000 over. Now it's like buyers have a lot more room to negotiate. So the houses are sitting on the market just depending how nice and how well maintenance your house is, how many bedrooms you have, how many bathrooms you have. You know, houses right now are staying on the market for about a month or less, which is pretty good.
I was going to say, it doesn't seem too bad.
Back then, a couple years back, houses used to stay on the market for months. Because nobody was interested in buying real estate. Nobody really knew about real estate. Nobody was really educated about real estate. So yeah, houses were sitting on the market for a couple months because nobody was being approved for loans. They just didn't bother to invest into real estate. Well, now that, you know, so many influencers and just people in general are talking about real estate, a lot of people are interested in buying real estate. So now there's a lot of buyers ready to be, you know, to be approved for a home or close on a home. But they have so much more competition.
Yeah.
And so that makes it easier for sellers because we only have so much supply. And that's another reason why prices are so high, because houses don't grow on trees, people.
Yeah.
And land doesn't grow either. You know, the only land we have is all that we get to work with.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't have a crystal ball, but, you know, if you have the opportunity to buy a house and you're approved, I highly suggest that you do that. You won't regret it 5-10 years from now.
Yeah.
I don't regret it. I mean, it was the scariest thing I could have did because that was my biggest dream I've ever had. But I'm still doing it. It's a really adult
move to like go and buy a house.
It's a big deal. Yeah. It's a big deal. You have to take care of it. Like, you're not the landlord, or you're the landlord.
Yeah.
Or you can't call the landlord and be like, hey, my dishwasher broke.
Right. Like, you have to fix the dishwasher, or even buy a new one. Or it's not like living with your parents where they worry about everything and you just go home and sleep.
Yeah. No, it's not like that. But yeah, supply and demand is very tight right now. So houses aren't staying on the market for long. I mean, there is houses that they're overpriced, and then that causes them to stay on the market for a long time, for a couple months, and then people are like, well, why hasn't that house sold? Is there something wrong with it? No, the house is overpriced, and that's why nobody's putting in offers, and that's why it's staying on the market.
Yeah, and then do sellers usually budge and lower it? Or some of them, like, super firm, like, no, this is what
so some sellers are super firm. Like, you literally have to show them by open house or by month, like, hey, like, obviously there's no activity going on, like, nobody's interested. Like, I think we're gonna have to drop the price down, and then of course you want to, you know, give your feedback with the facts that you have on the MLS. Like, look at the other houses that are around your neighborhood that sold, you know, within the last 3 months. So yeah, it's a lot of negotiating, a lot of going back and forth and explaining and just keeping them educated. Like, if you want to sell your house fast, you know, I highly suggest you do this. But if they're not in a rush, well, then they're not in a rush.
Yeah. Yeah, I learned new things.
Yeah.
Literally the other day, I was thinking of like, maybe I should start being an adult and buy a house. But then I was just like, and then you had messaged me, and I was just like, is this a sign?
Dude,
and I was just like, I don't know.
That is such a sign.
I've always wanted to live here. I've never wanted to live here.
Yeah.
Ever since I was like, I graduated high school, I was like, okay, I'm finally old enough, I can leave. I wanted to go to California, but California is so expensive. I'm like, let's go not go into debt. Because there's people working like 3 jobs, living with like 5 roommates. I was like,
and then they still have time for a life.
Yeah, I'm like, how do you guys do that? I'm like, I cannot. But then I was just like, maybe I should stay in Greeley. And then literally, I had messaged my sister, and then we were talking about it. And then you had messaged me. I was like, is this a sign?
That is such a sign, guys. If you're a spiritual person like me,
I get and everything's a sign to me. I'm like, is this a sign?
Literally, that's a sign, girl. That is a sign.
We'll talk about more about that later, but yeah, no, literally.
Yeah, we'll get you with the lender.
No, for sure. And then it's always scary as someone that's like, I really don't know anything about the market or anything. Like I told you, I watch Selling Sunset and I believe that's real. And then so it's like, I know my credit isn't the best either, so it's like hard because I'm like, am I even gonna get approved, or how much am I gonna approve for it? And then I also don't want to settle it because then it's like I'm gonna spend all this money and invest all this time on a house, and then just be like, well, I guess I have a house, but then I'm not happy with it. So no, I overthink a lot too.
You don't want to start like that, and I totally get it. That's completely normal. To be scared, to have fear, to have all these emotions, that is normal, people.
Is that how you were?
Yes, I was being indecisive. I kid you not. The way God blessed me is amazing because, I mean, so I only qualified for so much, right? Yeah. I had this number, and that's all you can work with. You can't find any other houses that are more unless I had, money for that. Yeah. And I didn't. And I was going to buy a house across the train track, which for me wasn't the best location because I've never lived over there on that side
of town. On the north side?
On 85.
Oh, that way.
So yeah, it's really busy, and there's semis, and I don't know the crime there, and
there's a lot of family too.
And I don't want to say there's crime because I didn't really, know that neighborhood, but I was so in love with the house because it was only 20 years old, and out of all the houses I was looking at, I was like, this is the one. Like, you fall in love with each house. Mm-hmm. Well, I was like, if they change the carpet, I'll buy the house. Yeah, that's all I asked. Was just change the carpet and I'll buy the house. Yeah. It wouldn't have been that big of a deal. The sellers decided not to change the carpet. The carpet was disgusting. Yeah. And I was like, well, I don't want it then. Mm-hmm. The deal fell through. And so I ended up not going with that house because they did not. Did anyone ever buy it? Yes, and this is the market was hot, so as a buyer you had to be fast. But I was being smart too because it's like I'm not gonna settle. And if they can't change the carpet, then I don't want it.
And it's one little thing that,
they decided not to. I think it's because there's a flood that happened. Remember a couple years back? Yeah. And you could literally see like watermarks on the bottom of outside. So it's like, ew. Like, what if this was the same carpet? I don't know. I was just thinking the most.
Or how much mold there is.
Yes, exactly. You just don't know. Yeah. So the deal didn't fall through. Okay, that very next day in the morning. And this is why I became the real estate agent, because of this reason, literally. I always say this story. This is like my inspiring story. But the very next day, I had found a house on a way better location. Okay, way better location, complete opposite. And it was a 5-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage for the same price that I was going to get the other house. Crazy. And that was a townhome for 3-bed and 2-bath. Oh, 1-car garage. Yeah. For the same price.
And you have a whole ass house now.
I have a whole ass house in a way better neighborhood. I mean, the neighborhood is fantastic. Yeah. And I have rooms that I rent out to roommates that pay my mortgage. Yeah. So my mortgage gets paid and I don't have to pay for it, thankfully, because I have enough rooms that I'm able to rent out and they pay. Yeah. They help me pay my bills. But that goes to show like God's work, you know what I mean? I wanted the house so bad. That very next day, I found that house. I was up at like 5 a.m. looking at Zillow, found this house, and it wasn't on there the day before, so they had just put it back on the market. Yeah. So the guy that was going to buy the house decided to not buy it because he just lost his job. Oh, shit. So I snagged it up off the market. Yeah. It wasn't even on the market for 3 hours.
I love that. Yeah. I think it feels like it reminds me of like when you buy a car. People are always like, don't buy the first car you see. And that's happened to me a lot. Like, right before I got my car, I was going to buy another one. It was the exact same car, but it was white. It was a year older and had way more miles in it. And it was more expensive, but I didn't know about the car I have now. And it was, like, my second car that I was ever going to buy myself. So I was like, okay, like, it's around my budget or whatever. And then they're like, wait, we have something else. And I was like, okay. My car's red, and I hate the color red, but I was like, maybe there's a reason. It was cheaper, had less miles, it was newer, the only thing was the windshield was cracked, but they're like, we'll fix it. Yeah. And then I was like, okay. And then I've been happy ever since. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. So that sometimes I feel like buying cars and houses are like, don't always try to go for the first thing. Yeah. But knowing me, I feel like I'm going to look up 20 houses and be like,
no, and you have to be picky. I totally agree with that.
And that's a life commitment. Yeah. Practically.
I think that's a good way to look at it, the way you said it. It's like, okay, shopping for a house is like shopping for a car. Yeah. Because if you put it that way, then you'll have a little bit of understanding of what it's like to shop for a house. Yeah. So, yeah. Except be picky, a lot more picky with the house.
Oh, yeah, because for sure.
A house will bring you money and a car won't.
No, yeah. Cars break down and you have to put money into it.
Yeah, exactly.
A house, well, that's different.
You still have to, but you'll get your money back.
Yeah. So. All right, well, now we're in the buying area. Speaking of buying. So what are the first steps for someone that's never bought a house or anything? What were their first steps to buy a house? Like, should they message you first? Should they message their bank? Should at the same time? Like, what do you think a person should do first?
Well, a lot of people don't even know where they stand financially with like credit and being approved. And so the first thing that I recommend doing is if you're not already doing it, please save money. Please save your money.
Okay, let me do the first.
Yeah. So there's programs out there, of course, which is awesome that there's programs there, FHA, CHAPA, all of that. But I always recommend just saving money because when you do close on your house, you have cushion. You're not broke. You have cushion. You're still able to live your life, and you're not living check to check. So that's just a number one for me. Whether you have money saved, if you're already saving money, just save money. Save your money. Because then you're gonna want to buy furniture and all that.
Once you want to start decorating your house, I look at all this Pinterest and I'm like, so when I have a house, I want to do this.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's where all my money's gonna go.
No, and it really does look like that.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. But I do recommend, yes, get with the real estate agent like me, your local real estate agent. Somebody that you know, that you trust, that you know you can trust, and that have your best interest. Get a hold of them, and then they will send you to a lender because obviously I'm a real estate agent. I don't let you borrow the money. The bank does. The lender does. So that's my first thing is, if somebody's interested in buying a house, okay, let's see where you stand financially. You've been working over 2 years, your credit's good, or you still have credit to work on, that's still okay too because we help you get to that point where you're able to qualify for loans with your credit. So yeah, that's my biggest thing is get with your local agent, and then we send you to a lender, and then that lender is going to ask you for, pay stubs, your driver's license, your credit score, all of that good stuff. Then they'll let you know financially where you stand. It's rare where we get buyers who are ready to go, where, their credit's up to par, they approve for this much.
They have everything ready.
Yeah, like they're good, they're set. Like that's rare, okay? Let me tell you, people, trust me, it's normal to contact a lender and your credit's not the best yet, or you don't qualify for as much as you would like. That's why it's best to get with a lender because it's gonna take time and it's a process.
And at least you know where you stand too.
Exactly. And I know some people get scared because like, oh, it's a lender and it's a bank. Yeah, like I said, those emotions are normal. Like you should be feeling that. I mean, you're investing and you're looking into something that you never have. So yeah, that's all normal. But I mean, first thing is first is being pre-approved. We can't go look at houses if we don't know you're pre-approved. I mean, we could, but why are you gonna get yourself excited like that?
Yeah.
If
you can't even. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my main thing is if you're not already saving money and working, make sure you're already working and saving money. If you're not saving money, that's okay. It's a start. That's why the lender's gonna talk to you and say, hey, like this is what you have to work on. But I'll be honest too. When I bought my house, I only had like $3,000 in my account.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. So
that's better than me.
No, everybody's different.
I don't know how to save money.
I
like to spend it, and it's hard. But then I'm like, if I want something, I need to save.
Yeah. No, and the house that I bought has been my biggest investment. But I always recommend always buy, don't rent. And I'm not just saying that as a real estate agent. Like I never rented. I always rented with my mom. My mom was my landlord. I helped her, and then I moved out and bought. But literally, like, if you can find a best friend or even a good roommate to lock in, whether it's 2 years, a year, it's literally one of the best financial things you can do for yourself. And it teaches you so much how to be responsible, how to manage your money, and it's just fun. It's risky, and I'm a risky person, so.
But it's a big accomplishment to be a homeowner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is because you don't see much of it. Well, now you do, which is great.
And I feel like it's different from now, because, I mean, we're all around the same age, but I feel like back, even 10 years ago, no one was really buying houses and anything. Everyone was just, living in apartments. But I feel like now, our generation, around our age group and stuff, everyone's just why spend money? Why spend practically the same amount of money on an apartment? Because the apartments really are expensive. You guys don't know. Let's just say it's $2,000, right? Well, for
a 1-bedroom.
Yeah, for a 1-bedroom, nothing, and probably a shitty pound. And then let's just say your mortgage is $2,000, and then it's people are well, why spend money on rent when you can buy a whole house? It's a lot more, but at the end, you're just wasting your money renting.
Yeah, I mean, you really are. I know it's a big deal. I don't want to maintenance a house, but it's not that much of a headache.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're the type, you just know. You as a person, if you're already having thoughts of buying, then girl, that should tell you something. But there's people out there who are said, they're like, no, I don't want to own a home. I just want to travel. Okay, fine. That's fine too. I mean, you could easily buy a house, rent that house out, and it's literally paying your mortgage. That's what everyone tells
me. I'm always like, I don't want to buy one. They're like, just rent it out later. And I'm like, woo.
You're either making your landlord rich or you're making yourself wealthy. I mean, you pick. You're either putting money in their pocket or your pocket. I mean, it's the harsh truth, but that's how I have to say it because that's the way it is.
You want to be rich, make someone else rich. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't care to be rich, but I want to be comfortable.
Well, yeah, comfortable. Where you're like, just swipe your card and it doesn't matter. Yeah. A shopping spree at Target, you're like, this is fine.
And that's good enough.
Right? Yeah, no, literally. I have a question. Yeah. So, speaking of, like, going to lenders and stuff, so when you go to a bank and they loan you money, technically, I'm kind of dumb, so this doesn't make sense to me. But, technically, does a bank pay for the house and then you just pay the bank?
Yeah, basically that they're lending you the money.
Yeah. So they give you the whole money to the buyer. I mean the seller.
Yeah, because the seller wants to sell their house. So you don't have to
worrying about the seller. You just worry with the bank.
No, and so that's why the seller has an agent that represents the seller, and that's why the buyer has an agent that represents the buyer.
Okay.
So the way I like to see it, I feel like real estate agents are low-key attorneys.
Yeah.
In real estate, like because we're sitting there negotiating offers and deals, and we're closing deals. And we're working with clients. Okay, you have your client seller. I have my client, the buyer, and I want the best interest for them, but they also want the best interest for them. Yeah. So we have to come to terms with, okay, well, we can do this, and the seller accepts this offer, but this and this, such and such. Okay, cool. And then inspections and appraisals come in, and all that good stuff. So yeah, the bank lets you borrow the money. And the bank pays off to the seller because the seller wants to walk away with their $500,000 and not worry about you ever again. So yeah, they get their money, and then now you're working with the lender. That's who your landlord is.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm like, so you don't have to ever worry about the seller.
Yeah.
No. Oh, I like that because I'm like, that seems like too many people to worry about.
Yeah. Well, sometimes, like I say, real estate is so full in different stories that sometimes as a buyer you know the seller.
Yeah.
There's a specific house that you want to buy, and the seller's willing to sell it to you. And then you do know the seller. But a lot of the times, no, people don't know the seller or the buyer.
Yeah,
because it's the agents representing them.
Should someone, if they're wanting to sell and /buy, should they sell their property first before buying one, or?
Again, it all just depends on your situation.
Okay.
I'm working with clients right now who, the house that they're in now, they want to sell that house and get a bigger house, but. Long story short, I won't say any names. They had listed with another agent before being approved for a home.
Oh.
So yeah, they could have sold their house and walked away with, whatever, but they weren't approved for another house.
Oh, damn.
And so they called me and they asked me, hey, look, this is what's going on, and and I'm like, hey, wait, like, are you working with a real estate agent?
Yeah.
They're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, why would they set you up, to sell the house, which I think is great, but then you're not even approved for a loan? How are you going to sell your house and then you want to go buy another house, but you're not even approved for a loan?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were going to walk away with money, but you still have to put your down payment down, and of course you don't want to just live off of the money made off of your house. You're going to have to get a loan out. 9 times out of 10, people get second loans out when they buy and sell again, or sell and buy again. So with that story, he ended up listing the house, and I was like, well, you're not even approved for another loan. What if you sell your house, then you're not going to have nowhere to go?
Yeah.
Because where are you going to go? You just sold your house, and you don't know where to go. Exactly. Yeah. And he really thought about it, and he's like, oh my gosh, like, you're completely right. And I'm like, well, I'll let you figure this out. Like, you have your real estate agent, but if you have questions, just call me. Well, he called me about 2 weeks later, and he ended up canceling his listing. He ended up taking it off the market. And he ended up working with me. So now we're working together. And so luckily he did call me because when I sent him to my lender, he has credit he needs to work on.
Oh, okay.
And he has a debt that he needs to pay off. So the plan is to get him approved for the loan that we want him to. And then that way when we sell the house, that house is able to pay off the debt, and then he still walks away with money.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So then he's approved for the loan, he walks away with money, and his debt's paid off.
And then he can start looking at houses.
And so he can start looking at houses. But we'll already know what he's approved for because he's working with the credit bureau right now. So that's kind of cool.
Would he be stuck getting a house first before he sells, or is it kind of gonna fall at the same time?
See, yeah, that's the fun part is, well, we don't have him approved for the loan yet because we're waiting for that for his credit. And so once the credit bureau comes back and says like, yeah, okay, we're willing to compromise with him, and If he sells the house and pay off the debt, we'll give him this loan. That's when we're waiting on the credit bureau. So, excuse me. Once they come back and let us know, okay, yeah, we approve of this. That's when we can start fixing the house up, making it look nice, and putting it on the market. Yeah. And then he's approved for this loan already. So. Yeah.
Oh, sick. Yeah. See, that's so much that you just don't think about.
I know, and it's a lot. You're learning so much every day. Mm-hmm. And there's different loan programs. There's different loan types. There's different property types. There's a lot. That's the fun thing about it.
There's a lot. And I've heard. Do you ever recommend someone? Because I've heard good and bad things about like someone buying a house with an HOA and stuff. Yeah.
Well, HOAs is like another bill. It's another bill that they're charging you every month. So if you feel comfortable paying between $200 to $300 a month for maintaining on HOA in your neighborhood, then all right, it's not a big deal. You have no choice. If you enter into a neighborhood and you really like the house and they have HOA, like you can't avoid that HOA. You have to pay it. So that's important to look at when you're buying a house. Is if you want HOA or you don't. Don't fall in love with a house that has HOA because you'll have to pay the HOA. But there's people who do find homes and they're not in HOA areas, and that's even better because that's less of a payment for you.
Yeah, and I've heard that I see on TikTok they get mad for the littlest thing, and I'm just like,
they're really strict. Yeah, they're really strict. Like in some neighborhoods, like you can't have your trash out, like your trash can't be overfilled.
I heard that they can't even see it, like it has to be covered or something.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. It's kind of, I think, not fair. It should be illegal.
Yeah.
Nobody likes HOAs.
To determine that much, it's like,
I know some neighborhoods fight against HOAs, like they'll all come together and put letters in, and they'll be like, yeah, well, the whole neighborhood's agreeing to this and such, like, some places charge HOA and they don't even shovel your driveway or the sidewalk, I should say. Yeah. Why are you charging me this if you're not gonna do it? Yeah. So there's unfairness in that, but that's why you have a badass real estate agent, right? So they can find you a house without HOA, or find you one if there is. That's not so
strict or something.
Or so strict.
Yeah. Do you have any Karen stories? Have you ran into any Karens or not yet?
Well, I wouldn't, real estate's so fun, it really is, because it's something different every day, and, of course you want to act professional and at your best interest with everyone, whether that's a real estate agent that you're working with, another one, the seller's real estate agent, or just agents that you're meeting in general at open houses. I wouldn't say I've ran into Karens, but, when you're somebody that's young like me, some of them just think you're stupid. Yeah. And I don't mind if they assume that I'm stupid. It's because I like my work to show for itself. But there's just some Karens out there that are, been in the business for 30, 40 years. And, they're can be... Yeah. They can be, what's the word I'm looking for? Retired. Yeah. These Karens
You're like, why are you still working?
Yeah, these Karens can be retired, but they choose to, still do their thing with real estate. And I did come across a real estate agent not too long ago, about a month ago. I was representing a client, and the client wants to really stay in the house that they're already renting in. So it's basically a for sale by owner because the landlord already has the buyer in the house, right? So I don't have to market the house. They didn't have to do much because the buyer's technically in the house. Yeah. But, the buyer contacted me. I got her the loan. I've been working with her. I got her credit up to par the last couple of months. And the seller's agent that was representing the seller, the lady, she called me. She's like, hey, this is such and such. I just wanted to know what you would like your commission to be. Yeah. And like I said, I'm well aware of it's technically a for sale by owner. So when it's usually for sale by owners, they don't like to pay the full percent of commission just because they already have a buyer. Yeah. Right? We didn't have to go look for the buyer. And so when I told her, okay, well, such and such, this is what I'd still like to get paid, I was well aware of I could have easily got denied, but because I do have standards and I like to hold my name up to par and stand on, what my work is and what the value I put in, I told her, and she kind of laughed at me. She laughed at me.
Straight up.
Yeah, she laughed at me. And my whole thing was, why would you ask? Because she's like, yeah, you're crazy if you think the sellers are going to pay that. And in my head, I'm thinking, well, why would you go out of your way to ask me what I want to get paid if you already know that the sellers only want to pay me this percentage? You know?
Yeah, like what was the point of that? Literally.
So she started off, we're negotiating a deal. You're representing your seller, I'm representing the buyer, and that's how you want to start off.
Yeah.
You know? So she started it off like, way to the left. And like I said, I was well aware that she could have easily told me that, but she was a Karen for that. And then she's like, well, let me call my sellers and see what they say. And then she called me back and she's like, well, the sellers actually want me to just be the transaction broker. And the transaction broker is basically the transaction broker is working for the buyer and the seller. Oh, and I said, well, that sucks for you because my buyer doesn't feel comfortable doing that. Mm-hmm. And me and my buyer already have a buyer's agency agreement. It's a contract where they can't go work with anybody else because we have a contract. Yeah. Not that they wanted to because they completely trust me and they love me.
Yeah. But it's there in place.
Yeah, and so she thought that she could, just be like, well, I'm gonna be the only real estate agent that's working this transaction.
She wanted to keep the money, yeah.
One or two things, but hey, you're not the only person to say that. Yeah, she wanted to take my part of the money too. And it's like, well, that sucks because I've already been working with the buyers. They're not going to feel comfortable going with you when we clearly know you have the best interest for the seller. Mm-hmm. And not only that, they were overpricing the house. So we were already arguing about that. The house was overpriced. I told them, let's get an appraisal. Yeah. They didn't want to get an appraisal. And so, that deal fell through.
Yeah. That's crazy. There's always so much.
Yeah.
I keep saying that, but no, I'm like, it's like I'm learning so much.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's so fun, and it's just fun.
It's like a whole different career that I did. Like I knew it existed, but I didn't know there was like so much you had to put into it.
Life is just all about numbers.
Yeah. Oh, 1,000%.
Big or small, small, and that's what makes it fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you see yourself doing this for a long time?
I do. I personally do. I've never been a schoolgirl. I've never liked school.
Yeah.
So this was a big deal for me to go to school and get my license. It took a lot of work, for me, because I'm so
like. So you push yourself to actually do it? Or?
Yeah, I disciplined myself. Like I quit some stuff that I was doing before, that were just bad habits and keeping me tunnel vision.
Yeah.
And I did it all online. I did the schooling online. I think that made it harder. But now that I work for Keller Williams, the brokerage, and they offer great events. They offer great training classes. And as a new agent, that's really good for me because I need to stay educated. I need to stay in the market and know what's going on. A lot of brokerages don't offer what Keller Williams does. And so I love working with Keller Williams because I'm always learning, and I love that.
How did you find them? Was your real estate agent working with them, or did you just?
So no, the agent that I closed with, he actually is at another brokerage, but he'll come to some of our trainings. And I think he likes Keller Williams, but like everyone's situation is so different that you kind of have to just stay where you're at certain times in your life, and then move when it's like best for you. And
I think like it's not his time yet.
Yeah, I think that's a lot with brokerages and like the real estate agents. You can't. I mean, you could just get up and leave, but like some of them have deals that need to fall through within the next 30 days, and so they can't leave because they're with that brokerage. So stuff like that, but. I was personally reaching out to other real estate agents that were local in Greeley, and then I just started interviewing with other brokerages, and I was saying which one fit me best. What do you have to offer me too?
Yeah.
Not only me offering you this, because mind you, real estate agents, we don't get paid monthly. Like we have to pay out. We have to pay for our desk fees, the office fees, like paper fees, all that stuff. Yeah. So they don't pay us. We only get paid when stills are closed. And so that's how I went about finding my brokerages, reaching out to local agents, and then interviewing with all these brokerages, and then picking the one that fit me best.
Yeah.
In my situation.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. Literally, like it's so interesting. I love it.
Yeah, and there's so much more to learn too. This is, like I said, my first year, and I've already learned a lot. I've already experienced quite a bit too, but I have so much more. And I'm pretty excited.
Yeah. So, backtracking a little bit, when you said that you went on Zillow and then you found a different house, so can any agent go and find any house you want, even if someone else is like on the house?
Yeah. So one thing I will say is, okay, Zillow is not 100% correct. Zillow is only for people like us who, are just regular people, on the phone at freaking 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
So that's what Zillow gives us to offer. But real estate agents have a MLS, and it's like Iris. We call it Iris. And that lists all the homes that are on the market, and it gives us all the information that other people can't see. Okay. So when I found the house on Zillow, I just sent the address straight to my real estate agent, and then they looked up all the information. We set up a showing. I looked at it that same day, and I said, I have to run away with this. Yeah. This is the house. This is the deal. Like, this is a sweet deal. The location, like, I already got the loan. Like, let's do it. Let's close on it. It was a fast closing, and it was like that. Yeah.
I always wondered about them, just like, because I know, because I feel like Zillow's just like, it's more for like the consumer and not for the other person. So it's like,
well, sometimes some of the houses are overpriced or underpriced. So that's why I say it's not 100% correct. If you really like a house, like reach out to a local agent that you're trusting, and that way they can be like, oh yeah, it's actually listed for this much. Yeah. Because the Iris page actually gives you the actual facts,
like up to date and everything,
square footage, up to date, how much it's selling for, who's the listing agent, stuff like that. Yeah.
Zillow's more like, here's the pictures. And
Zillow doesn't give you the listing agent.
It just gives you Caesar.
Yeah, it gives you the pictures, and then it gives you their estimated price.
Oh, okay. Well, that's about it.
Yeah, it basically gets numbers from other websites.
Yeah.
But like I said, they're not always 100% correct.
Yeah.
Some are, but some aren't. Yeah, they're just grabbing what they can from what they see, what we see.
Okay.
Because
Well, thank you so much for joining me. Thanks for reaching out. And now I'm like, okay, maybe I do want to buy a house.
Yeah, it's fun. It's exciting. It's a process. Even if you were to, get approved now and you just didn't find a house within the 4 months, hey, there's always another 4 months. You have 4 months for a loan, up to qualify for the loan. So let's say you qualify for $500,000. That $500,000, as long as you're working and doing what you're doing, it stays up. I didn't know that.
See, another thing. But thank you for joining me. I will have all her information down in the description box, even in the post I have. You guys can message her directly for anything. Don't forget, you can listen to me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and you can see our beautiful faces on YouTube. Bye!
Bye!